Hi folks, Speedway Tag here. Couldn't resist to do one more wooden board game from the PIN International game series. This is Octiles, and I don't know how I managed to get this back in the early 2000s, to get the actual, I don't know, you could call it Super Deluxe, or I think they call it the solid wood version or super exquisite version or whatever it is. But if you do go on Board Game Geek and have a look at Octiles, the board doesn't quite look like this. It's more of a standard, just square board. It's not very raised, or it's not very 3D. But as you can see, this version, which I believe is a limited edition, and it does say in the rules over there that the limited edition was handmade by the designer of the game. I'm not sure if that's correct, but if it is, I'm pretty thrilled to have stumbled across this one at the time. Would have been pure luck. And the other thing that it says in the rules here, when you look at the contents of this game, Octiles, it says, oh, it comes with the what is it, 20 markers, the board, the discs, so many discs, so many rule books, and then a shipping box, which looks like that, right? So I often wondered, yeah, you can see there it says solid wood Octile. I often wondered why the box I had it in was so poor and so almost like a castaway. But yeah, in the rules it says it's just shipped in a shipping box. So no cover or official cover. Yeah, a bit of mystery surrounds this version as well, because on Board Game Geek there's just as I said, the standard version. I believe this game has its origins back in the 80s, mid 80s, and eventually it got republished by a number of publishers. And anyway, luckily I stumbled on what I think might be the best version of the game. It's absolutely beautiful. As you can see, it's quite thick. It's in the shape of an octile. The tiles themselves are really heavy wooden pieces. So are the markers as well, and just the quality of this thing. Because when you flip this out, inside there it's a beautiful velvet bottom, and it's also velvet underneath this as well, a green velvet, where all the tiles go in, and just a great production on this game, and this thing on the top, the actual board, the playing surface as well, is great. Octiles. Okay, this is Chinese checkers on steroids, I guess you could call it. Quite simple. So you know, with Chinese checkers, you're trying to get if you're green, you're trying to get all your greens to the opposite side, and the yellows to the opposite side, and blues and whatever. So, but you don't just move across certain, you just don't move from square to square willy-nilly here. You have to actually place the tiles there in the stack and move along them. So the way a turn would go is, okay, on your turn you would take a tile, Carcassonne style. Okay, let's say I'm green, and I place it down on one of these, and or maybe like that. Okay, and then you have to move one of your pieces along one of the paths on that tile, and it's a fair move only if you're able to move and end up on one of these little podiums. And so this green guy can follow that path and sit there on the podium. Okay, so then the blue player would go, grab a tile. Okay, he's trying to get across here. He might, I don't know, he might do this. Okay, that way he can move from here across to here. And you're slowly trying to move across to your home destination. The other thing you can do, obviously as these tiles fill up the board, eventually they're all going to be placed, and then you've got the option, even now you've got the option to instead of placing a tile somewhere on an empty space, you can actually replace a tile that's already there, as long as you can make a legal move as long as you can have a path where one of your pieces will move across to one of the little podiums. Red might do this, something like, oh, I don't know. Red's in a little bit of trouble here. It might be a bit hard to find a move. Oh, here's one. Okay, there's a move there, and red can get going by moving along that path. Yellow might take a tile from here. Just going to play a couple of moves so you get a sense of how this goes. Yellow will move along this path. Okay, we come to green again. If you can get a couple of the beauty of this is it's like those old games we used to play on the old PCs, like ball pipe and things like that. You're trying to create these paths, and hopefully a long enough path that can get you a little bit further than just the next podium. So and pretty much you can only really do that once you've got a few tiles down. But look at this, with this move, this guy now has sort of like a double path, can get him all the way over here. So he's going to travel along that path and end up here. So he's moving a little bit quicker. He's also blocked blue, who's not very happy at the moment. Remember, blue has the option now to take a tile and actually replace one. So he could replace this if he thought it was beneficial to him, or look, he's annoyed because he could have placed it in a way that could have got him here, but green's already blocked him. Maybe he just needs to do something like this, maybe. Not sure about that. No, that's not a very good move, is it? What else could he do? He might be able to... Okay. Well, it's not ideal, is it? But he's going to head back. No, he can't go across there either. So anyway, blue's in a bit of a spot. Maybe we could go like this and send another one of his guys across and get him moving. Red might take one and move a little bit even further with a nice straight line coming along here. And this, as I said, just keeps continuing. It gets a lot more fun when there's more tiles on the board, and you know, you start to block people, and you start to you know, make it hard on your opponents, and so on, by what you can do. This is a really difficult tile to place, as you can imagine. Poor yellow's not going to get much down here, except maybe he could get going like this. And then we'll do another one for green, because we need green's heading over to the red area. Okay, so I don't know, maybe he could go. Can he go here? Yes, he's going to go a little bit further, which is pretty good. Okay, but if blue then decides to come along and, you know, replace one of the tiles where green's all prepared for, that's going to throw a spanner in the works. Obviously, the more people that play this, I think it works better. We've only played it with 2 people, and it's still good. You know, with 2 people, it's actually still fun. I've never had a chance to play it with 4, and we have a little board game family night on Saturday when there's 4 of us. So I might take this Saturday and give it a try with 4 people. But yeah, Chinese checkers, but with a lovely twist, a lovely upgrade with creating paths. You know, pipe works or wall pipe style, to get your guys across, and messing with your opponent a little bit by swapping tiles out and putting them back in. If you do swap a tile out, it has to go to the bottom of the stack. And as I said, even if we went through this whole stack and all the spots were taken, there's always one left there as an option for you to take it and replace one of the ones already on the board. I don't know what it was with rule books back in the day. I mean, we are so spoilt these days, aren't we, with the beautiful glossy and artistic rule books that we have. I mean, think of the Oniverse games and games like that, where the rule book is almost as fun discovering as the game itself, because they're such high quality and they're printed and produced so well. Back in the 90s, early 2000s, you got a Word document, basically, didn't you? Something like that. Anyway, but this also comes with another set. Puzzles, solitaires, and variations. Ways to play this in a solitaire way, and there's basically 25 or so different scenarios that they give you. For example, scenario level 11 is how many tiles can you make a path or a loop cross over twice or 3 times. Scenario, let's see, 5. How many of the board segments can you include in a path that crosses every tile? In the example, the path crosses some tiles more than once. And so these are little scenarios that you can play by yourself to try and achieve. It becomes like one of those, I guess, those think fun games, those rush hour type games where you're just trying to get the movement right to achieve your goal. You can play for points, point play there, and it encourages you to assign your own points and just try to get across, get all players across in the most efficient way. But yeah, so I think that's pretty cool to provide a whole double-sided rule book just for the solitaire players. I think that's really thoughtful. And as I've said before, back in these times, mid 90s, early 2000s, even 80s, as I said, this game originated back then. To include solitaire versions, not very common. So it's a nice surprise to open a second rule book and see so much time and space devoted to solitaire players. But that's Octile. I've looked around on the Board Game Geek page. I've noticed that it's only, like I said, it's only got the standard version. I can't find any other information about this deluxe version except what is actually written here, and it says, let's see, this version is dedicated to Kate Jones and so on, and then it says here, the deluxe edition is licensed to Caden Enterprises, limited first run, handmade by the author, and then produced by them. The solid wood edition, which is this one, and the exquisite Octiles edition, produced under Pin International. So maybe this, I think it's 1996 because the copyrights, the second copyright there's 1996. Anyway, very interesting. Hope you liked looking at another wooden board game. I'll move on from these eventually, I promise. Okay. Hope you enjoyed it. See ya.